Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Break Free from Your Monkey Mind, Season 4, Episode 12. This is the last episode of this series. I'm Tony, and my co-host this is Leanne. Good evening, Leanne.
Hi, Tony. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon.
And this evening we thought, rather than having a guest on, because we've had some amazing guests in this series, I think 9, guests we've had on this series. So we've had plenty of people on to talk. We're just going to have a little chat among ourselves to just bring out to you what we feel has been the highlights of this series. Things that really stuck out to us, and we'll explain them why. And then we keep saying, last guys, there is something in bigger we want to explain at the end that we will be telling you about before the next series. So, well, I'll let you start with this one. So, what was your one favourite thing of this series?
Meeting so many wonderful people from all walks of life was the first thing. It's so interesting to listen to other people's life stories, how they got into the fields they're in, or just the battles that they face every day and the challenges they face. So one of them that did stick out for me was Martin, actually, the youth worker. So that did stick out for me, for the work that he does and the time that he gives up for other people. So yeah, I really did enjoy listening to that one. I enjoyed listening to everybody. It's so interesting to hear about everything, and as well as Mark as well. The battles and the struggles that he goes through on a daily basis, bringing up a young family, working, providing for his family and everything else. And it's difficult, isn't it? It's you live in your own little world, in your own little bubble, at times, and you don't realize what other people are doing every day, what they're dealing with and what they're suffering with. So what would you say was your highlight, Tony?
I think something you said at the beginning about everybody's, when I looked back on it and I was thinking about it, there's something from every single person that I really could take away. And right at the beginning, the first one obviously was just ourselves and get through that. And then Angie from Germany, doctor that we spoke to, and people might not realise, but that one really hit me a lot, because I thinking about people from a child right through to adults not being able to talk in certain situations, to be picked on, get bullied, being people giving them a hard time just because they think they don't want to talk, but it's not that. It was the fact they cannot physically talk. Their mind literally is that powerful that it stops their vocal cords, so they can't speak. And it's something that off the back of that I've took forward to do on is making people aware of selective mutism. And I know I'm going to talk on it soon, but I wish they'd call it situational mutism, because it's more about the fact in the situation they're in rather than the select. Select makes it sound that they choose not to do it and they don't. And I think that really stuck out for me. Then you said, like, I think the couple after were Mark and Martin that came after them, and both are in, yeah, with Bromwich. I think, especially, I still cannot pronounce Mark's thing. Is it ankylosing spondylitis or something that was called? And that illness is
It's always been a
such an
tricky
awkward
one.
name. I think that's the name of it. So you can probably get me if I've got that wrong this time. Yeah, I had trouble pronouncing it on the night as well, I remember. And the things that he's had to face and still faces because of that, it shows the strength in people. So they were the first couple we had, and then Mark, I think, came after that. Sorry, Martin after Mark, with the youth work, he said, which was brilliant. And we also Jason doing the teen anxiety, similar to the youth work. And it showed that people doing it in different ways, but each of them helping all that out. And I suppose we could go through everyone, try to remember who are going, try to get it in my head, try to get the order of them all in. But each of the ones we went through, each guest had their own things we had. So I'll let you try and pick. If there's a couple more that you could pick out, then what the
Definitely.
would be
Oh, definitely Helen. Retired police officer, detective. Got that right? Detective, yep.
Inspector.
And
Yes.
detective inspector. Yes. Sorry,
Yes.
Helen. I'll get told off for that one. To listen to how her career took over her life and what impact it had on her children's lives, and the effects that it had on her towards the end. And to be able to break away from such a demanding career to now help other people, I think is absolutely amazing. And to have that strength inside you after you've hit rock bottom, and you know, after such a high flying career, and you've gone down and now you're back up and you're helping so many people, it's brilliant. You know, I take my hat off to her. You know, she's a working mum and she juggled so much to be able to provide for her family, but didn't realise in that process what she was actually missing out on and neglecting at the same time.
Yeah, that
So
was quite
yeah, I
powerful.
mean,
She said it
hats
was her
off to
daughter
Helen.
that actually pointed out to her that she wished she would have had her around more. Mia, I think it was her daughter name, that wishes she was around more at that time when she had it, but at least she is now for the boys growing up, which the daughter hadn't got. And I think some similar to that was Karen, because trying to do what Karen is now similar as a therapist and helping people now, but taking through with ADHD and dyslexia at the two at the same time and living a life with that must be so difficult, especially because she didn't find out till later on that she knew she was different, but just didn't know why she was different. And I think that was such a powerful thing to hear, is because it's become so common over the last 10 years to hear people getting diagnosed with these things so much later in life that we've never heard of before. And suddenly there's a lot of people getting diagnosed with ADHD. And although the label we kept saying, but they don't need that, but the diagnosis justifies to them. It helps them to understand why they've been the way they have been. And I think that was a great thing that Can pointed out, is that at least knowing there's something there can make you feel like, okay, I'm not totally different, but all is unique. Every one of us has got different things, but there's no two people the exact same. You can get twins and they can look the same, but they've got different personalities. They're totally different with that. So I think we heard side of it, that was amazing with it. And even looking at that one, I suppose the two.
I mean, wouldn't life be boring
if you're all the same? I know.
Sorry, wouldn't life be boring if we were all the same? Yeah.
Yeah. And
what would you be doing every day? Getting up and
Mm.
everyone's the same.
Yeah, and not just that, we also had this cat about perfectionism, and that's similar. What if everything was perfect in life? Would you really enjoy life then? Because you've got nothing to look forward to, because everything's the same, if utopia, whatever you want to call it. But do you really want to be that way? No. And I think something with that then, it struck me once recently, the last couple we did as well, you had Mel, the PT, who explained to us that the personal trainers and that, and the physical training side, have had to adapt so much over the years because people are changing. We're becoming more aware of who we are. We become more aware of what we want to do. But we're also realizing we don't just want to be fit anymore. People really want to be healthier and happier. It's not about diets. It's trying to change their whole lifestyle. So
it's about being educated.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. And I think Mel, for me, does a great job with that, because she brings a lot in, and she also brings in other people, she explained, to help. If she's not got maybe the skill set to help her feel, she brings people on. In fact, this week, I did one for her. I was doing a workshop for her on Monday night for her group. And it was great that bringing someone like me in to then go with them. But they wouldn't have thought, going on to your personal training, they're going to get somebody to talk to you about time management. It's not something you'd normally think of with personal training. But she had me in doing that, and it was doing really well for them because they were taking things away they could use in their own lives. And then you got, for me, probably one that stuck out the most in is Lisa. Because when you look at all these and the build of everything, I called the episode when I was trying to think what to call it for Lisa's thing, and I actually called it Do I Have an Addictive Personality? Because that was something that really stuck out for me. That with Lisa's thing, when she was talking about it, that she was so addicted to all the bad things that were happening in life. But then she went the complete opposite. Trying to get away from all that, she started getting into her training or all these self-development, but then became obsessed with it, that she actually was getting addicted to that. So even doing things that could be good for you could end up bad. So looking at all the guests with that, there was a great balance with them all. I suppose because I've went through them all, one person will realise there's one missing, which is probably the one that sticks out the most for me then. So what's the one guest that's missing? Just putting you in a spot, isn't it?
Me?
No, you're not a guest. You're a
Oh
co-host.
gosh, who did we have? Oh, okay.
Try
I
to
don't
remember
get away with that
when. I
one then.
think
So we had,
episode one,
let's
two,
have a
three,
look, let's have a think.
five. Episode 5, I think.
So we
Around
had
about that.
Angie, we had Mark, we had Martin, we had Karen, we had Jason, we had
Mhm,
Helen, we had Mel and Lisa.
mhm.
Now you've got me stumped. Now
Aye.
you've got me stumped.
This one reason I picked it as being the one that really stood out for me on it because it wasn't what I thought she was going to talk about when she came on. And it turned out a really good conversation whether we should protect children or nurture them towards somebody else. Does that give
Les,
you a clue?
Les.
Liz,
Yes,
Liz
yes,
Roberts. Um,
yes.
she's an amazing lady as it is anyway. Everyone knows I do other work with Liz. And I've seen firsthand and heard what she does with children and what she can do for them. And I think me and Liam were talking to someone before we come on, which I'll let Leanne explain in a second, about giraffes and frogs and dancing. So I'll get her to explain this bit in a second or two because it sounds weird when I say it like that. But that's what Liz actually does. She turns things, real world things, issues that people can have, into fun and game things for children. So without them realizing, they're learning life skills, how to deal with emotions and feelings before they even know what feelings and emotions are. But then how much do we have to protect them so that do we nurture them so that they can deal with these things in the future? Or like a lot of people try and do, smother their children, protect them too much. And I love the way Liz was looking at the balance with that and explaining to us about how you can do both sides, but what the children really need is that exposure. Then we need to nurture them along so they know how to face these things. How do they deal with situations in their life? So I think for me, that probably stood out. Everybody we've mentioned there has been brilliant. But Liz's thing, I think, for me, stood out with that said because it wasn't what I expected the conversation to go like. And yet, yeah, it was a real important topic to think of that. How do we look after children that way?
You, from memory, Tony, I don't think you actually got much of an input, did you?
I don't think I was in the episode. I know I
I
was
think it was
pictured
the
was there,
lesson.
but I think
I think
yeah,
it
but
was the
what people
Les and
didn't
Leanne
realise
show,
was
wasn't
I
it?
just got a
Yeah,
cardboard cutout, and that night nobody even noticed. So that was it. Yeah, because I
yeah,
think you two wouldn't stop talking, so I
yeah.
never got a chance. And I was trying to remember whose actual
That's right.
show it was. I couldn't remember by that point.
Exactly.
Mhm.
I think that's why I forgot Les was on there because we just chatted and chatted and chatted, and it was
Yeah,
more
so it
like
didn't
going
feel like you
down,
were on a show. It was
the
just you
coffee
two having
shop
a
for.
conversation. Yeah.
It
Oh,
was. It was. Yes,
well, that just
absolutely.
leaves one person then, because we did a self-awareness one, which was just the two of us together. So
Would
that
you
leaves
like
one
me
other
to,
person.
or would you like me
That's
to explain
confused you.
about the giraffe and the frog first before
Yeah.
people think?
That's why I was saying there's one other
Yeah.
person, that was you. So you've been the co-host all the way through. So I was trying to think of one thing that I could actually give people to remember you by as being the host through this series with me. And then I thought that's got to be it. Anybody get away and the last thing you hear about from you is going to be a giraffe, a frog, and dancing. How could they think anything else is going to be any better than that? So tell people why we had
Well,
that
what can I
conversation
say?
and what does that mean?
So the conversation that we had just before we come on tonight was about my little boy reading a book about a giraffe that can't dance. Now, if any parents out there or carers or grandparents have ever read the book, I was trying to find it earlier in his bookshelf, but I think he's actually taken it to bed with him. So it is literally about a giraffe that's got bandy legs that can't dance. It gets taken to a party in the jungle where lions and tigers and everyone else is doing tangos and cha-cha-chas and really enjoying themselves. But this poor giraffe cannot dance because it's its bandy legs. So it does leave, it leaves upset, it saunters away out of the jungle and it comes across a frog. Now the frog says to the giraffe, it's not that you can't dance, it's because you're not listening to the right music. Listen. So the giraffe stands and it starts to listen and it hears the crickets, it hears the rustling of the leaves, it hears all the sounds that's going on around it in the jungle. And all of a sudden it starts to move its body. And before it knows it, it's dancing. And it's dancing to its own tune and it's dancing around the jungle. All the other animals then come and join it and see this giraffe that has got the bandy legs that cannot dance now dancing the perfect dance to the perfect tune, and everyone is clapping, applauding. You know, they're happy, they're jealous that this giraffe can dance. And my little boy absolutely loves this book, because to start with, it's quite sad because this poor giraffe is being mocked. It's being abused by the other animals because it cannot dance as well as they can. But the motto to the story is, you don't always need to follow other people's tunes. This giraffe listened to its own tune, found its own music, and could dance. It danced its own dance. So when you try and do something that somebody else is really good at and you struggle with it, doesn't mean that you can't do it. It just means that you'll have to do it in a slightly different way to your own tune until you find your way in life. And that's, again, another thing being, don't be a sheep, find your own path. So that's the story of the giraffe and the frog.
And it's
I enjoyed
brilliant.
that, Tony.
It reminded me of, no, the giraffe and that, but it made me a bit like Lisa's thing last week, because trying to do all these different things to find our own way of fitting in. Remember I said about even doing like me as an NLP practitioner, she's a Kundalini yoga teacher. She does all these things, now becoming a personal trainer. But it was similar to that. She was trying all these other things, but maybe not necessarily till you get there and you find your own way. And that's where that tune comes into it. It's finding your own tune in life, your own way in life, and doing that. So it was a good analogy, giraffe in that way. It's something that explains that. So we said that the only other person then said is the co-host is yourself. We're in here. So how have you found being a co-host for 12 episodes through this series?
I've survived 12 episodes. Yeah, I'm very grateful to be on here. It's been wonderful. It's been lovely, like I said, to meet so many people. And Tony, you're a brilliant host. So yeah, it's been lovely working alongside you and being able to have good chats with people and push you aside. No, honestly, no.
Yes, well, I was going to
It's
say,
been lovely.
you
And
said about being the co-host, but sometimes I do know who's supposed to be the host and who's the co-host, because you just take over anyway. But so
yeah, well, that's my ability.
yeah, so we've got something to tell people about. So we said there's going to be some, we'd let them know at the end. I'll let you know the big secret, but the first bit was that this isn't the end. So I'm going to take a break for a couple of months from this, only because the research and something that Leanne's going to explain in a second. But we are going to be back in a couple of months' time with Series 5. And Series 5 is going to be the one topic really throughout it all, but in different perspectives from people. So I'll let Leanne explain, first of all, why we need to do some research and what we're going to disappear to do over the next couple of months. So what is it we're actually going to be doing?
So we're actually writing a book. So that's our big secret coming out. So yes, we are writing a book. So we need to get as much information as we can to make sure that we've got the perfect book coming out for you, to educate you, to help you to understand, and to give you a bit of a background, a bit more into myself and Tony, about pain management and what can help you, what's helped us, and complementary therapies as well that you can use. So that is why we are going to be taking a break, because we want to put our heart and our soul into this book to get it the most information that we can out to you.
And when we do come back, that will be the information we'll have found, well, things we'll bring in it. Now, Series 1 sort of briefly hit onto that, and we did have some guests on there as well, who from different holistic and complementary, different modalities, different techniques that people used. But this time what we'll really be looking at is finding people who actually suffer a lot with these things and pain things, and maybe finding alternative things that they can do. The alternative word is a word that's always get disputed when people use. The methods we're talking about, modalities we're talking about doing, they're the complementary side. They work hand in hand with Western medicalizations, we call it as we know here, like the NHS, GPs. But there's sometimes alternative things that people can actually use as well that actually can work, other things that they can do. So we want to highlight that to people, that show them there's so many options. There's 3 bits that they call separate from your normal GP. You'll have complementary, you'll have alternative, that's it, and holistic. And we're going to explain about all that, what that actually means. Each of those terminologies are, what comes under each thing, And that's what the next series is going to be about, is more education and empowering people with the information and knowledge they need to be able to go and find what really can help them. So we start that, but as Leanne said, with a book explaining what's helped us in our journeys. Because as you've heard of me from the first series, really, and Leanne on this one, you've heard about both our illnesses that we still have and the journeys that we're on. And that's what we want to show people, as it's not suddenly you get to a destination and everything's all right. You still have to work at these things. There'll still be limitations, but it doesn't mean your life stops. I keep hearing people say that, oh, I've got this, and we want to really get a hold, wanting more than anything over to people that the book will be about, and the next series, is that whatever your issue is, it is not you. It doesn't define you. It doesn't become you. You're not the illness. You're not the issue. That's so important, the message for us to get across to people, is that you suffer with, you have to work with, whatever you might terminology is, but you are not your illness.
No, exactly right.
So we will be back in July. So we're going to have April, May, and June, really 3 months roughly to get this together and put it out. And when we come back in July, we'll be doing that. But we're also going to be looking at setting up at that time. We'll be in touch bit in between then, but maybe a Facebook group we will have, or some sort of membership group where people can go in with other like-minded people where they can get help and support. So whether there'll be things in there that they can utilize in their own lives and take it on and share these different things as well. So over the next couple of months, that'll be some we will be popping in and out, you will hear about. And it's some we will build up, because it's so important to both of us, the other people, to get help that we've managed to do with our lives, and get them that, so that they can have a better standard of life for themselves and basically take back control of their lives by finding ways to do it. So thank you very much for everybody who's listened to all this series. Now you've heard what we're going to be doing. If you've got any suggestions or comments, or you would like to be one of the people on the next series, please let us know. So how can they get in touch with you, Leanne?
So you can contact me at www.breality-space.co.uk or at brealityspace@gmail.com. You can also contact me on my Facebook page, which is Breality, or through Tony. So any way possible, you need to get hold of me. There's always a way. I'm always on Facebook. I'll always be about. Alternatively, message Tony and he'll send your details on to me.
Thank you. And you'll always get me as normal, the same email, TonyGordon@ChangeYourMindLimited.com, the Limited Ltd, but also from our website, Change Your Mind Limited. And you can also get us there on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, most the social media platforms. I'll be around there somewhat. You'll be able to get a hold of us. So if there's anything, please do that. Otherwise, take care of yourself, take care of your families. Thank you again for having a series, and I look forward to seeing you again later on in the year. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.